I'm Deb Lawrence for Brio Birth, and let me introduce you to the knitted uterus model. So this is the full-size model that is in the pattern and is the one that we sell. You can see it has a hot air balloon shape to it so that it's more like a regular sort of uterus. There are some knitted uterus models out there that are just two little flat pieces that are sewn together, but this has a rounder sort of shape. The ribbing down here is what represents the cervix. I have a little bit smaller size one because I use a doll that's more of a preemie size. That way I don't have to creep out my students by squeezing the head to mold it to get through the pelvis, things like that. So here's what you do. You fold the baby in half, open up that uterus, and just stuff the baby inside. So baby's going in a nice head down position. And then demonstrate that the cervix here clumps up below the baby's head, that it's a ring muscle. The uterus is lengthwise muscles, and the way that dilation and effacement occur is that literally the uterine muscles contract and go back not as far, contract and go back not as far, and gradually pull that cervix open. When I demonstrate, I often say, everybody put your arm out, now bend it to 90 degrees. Was that very much work? Not really. Now go from 90 to 45. You can feel it more in your muscle. Now go from 45 to as tight as you can possibly go. And you see why labor gets more intense as it goes on, because a muscle is contracting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then we demonstrate. The ends have strings on it. Every place that there's increasing here in this model, I've just run a yarn across. So if you already own a knitted uterus model, you can have it be a better demonstrator by just tying some knots down here and weaving some yarns across. I use 4 yarns, so there's 8 locations where we're pulling. The yarns, I grab them here at the back side and just say, okay, now let's contract those muscles up a little bit. And you pull those muscles. Okay, now let's see what we've got going up here. It's about half gone, and maybe about 3 to 4 centimeters. So we're 3 to 4 centimeters effaced and 50% dilated. But look at how much time has passed. So this is comparable to early labor, when the muscles are sort of gathering themselves up and getting ready to actually do the work. Then we're going to pull some more, and now we'd be 6 or 7 centimeters, maybe 6 centimeters here, probably 80% effaced. And so we talk about, here's where they're feeling, the baby and what's going on. I generally demonstrate how when you've got the pelvis, you bring the baby doesn't come straight into the pelvis like this. The baby comes into the pelvis like this. And the cervix is on the side of the upper end of the vagina. And the way that effacement and dilation are measured is that trained fingers reach inside and feel what's going on. And I always say, and they always look off in the distance and go, you're about 6-7 centimeters and maybe about 80% effaced. And then they pull back out. And that is how you for sure know what's going on. Then we're going to have some more dilating, and we get to about 8 or 9 centimeters. I talk about how at the end of dilation, towards the end, they're measuring what's left more than what's there. I said there's nobody puts calipers up you. It's trained fingers that go inside, and they're measuring what's left. We talk about look around the room. Does everybody have the same size head? Do you think all babies have the same size head? Well, you have to dilate to whatever size your baby's head happens to be. So that's a good opportunity to talk about molding, and how sometimes I always say that the baby generally doesn't come out with this lovely round head. It looks more like the map of Africa with this big cone head thing hanging off the end. But that the skull plates have the opportunity to shift a little bit and make the diameter a little bit smaller so that baby will fit through mom better. And then we have a little more work to do, and you can see how even with, oops, baby came down too far. Even with the strings, the work intensifies as you get closer and closer. But it's a very clear demonstration to the students about the way that the cervix opens by the action of the uterine muscles.